You walk into Best Buy, grab a drone off the shelf, name you recognize, price seems fair, and walk out with a device the U.S. Department of Defense has officially classified as a national security risk. Not a theory. That's a publicly available federal document. The FAA had over 855,000 registered drones in the U.S. as of 2023, most from brands that transmit data outside U.S. jurisdiction, were quietly discontinued or were never what they claimed. The brand name means nothing. Here's exactly what this video is going to do for you. I'm going to walk you through 8 specific brands, with verifiable federal documents and real market data behind every claim, and tell you exactly why you need to walk away from each one. Some of these are the most popular drone names on the planet, sitting on Amazon's bestseller list right now. Then I'll give you the 3 that actually hold up under scrutiny. The first brand on the avoid list starts right now. DJI controls roughly 70% of the global drone market. The U.S. Department of Defense officially listed them as a Chinese military company under Section 1260H of the NDAA, verifiable on defense.gov. The U.S. Army issued a stop-use order for all DJI drones in 2017. The DHS warned in 2019 that DJI was funneling data on critical infrastructure and law enforcement to the Chinese government. By 2023, the FCC was moving to add DJI to its covered list. Here's what most people don't know. One of DJI's largest shareholders is Sequoia Capital China, the Chinese arm of the famous Silicon Valley Fund. American money helped build the company the American military banned. For commercial operators near critical infrastructure, your legal exposure as a civilian is real. The U.S. Army banned this drone in 2017. The DHS flagged it in 2019. The Department of Defense listed it as a military risk in 2022, and it's still the #1 drone sold at Best Buy. If that bothers you, hit that like button right now and stay with me. Autel Robotics, based in Bothell, Washington, or so the marketing says, complete with American flag imagery. What it doesn't mention, Autel is a wholly owned subsidiary of Autel Intelligent Technology Corp., headquartered in Shenzhen, China. Documented by The Verge, Forbes, and Drone Life between 2001 and 2003. The American Security Drone Act examined Autel as a covered foreign entity. Operators who switched from DJI to Autel to satisfy no Chinese drone policies later had their employer's legal team flag it in the exact same risk category. The EVO Lite Plus costs around $849 and fails ASDA compliance for federal contracts. Holy Stone sounds like a solid outdoor brand. It's actually a product line of Shenzhen Holyton Technology Co. Limited, a Chinese manufacturer with no U.S. presence beyond an Amazon storefront. Yet it's consistently one of the top-selling drone brands under $200. What the listing doesn't tell you, drones over 0.55 pounds require FAA registration. Several models use unprotected LiPo cells that, when charged with third-party chargers, have caused residential fires, documented by the CPSC. The real cost, $150 to $200 upfront, a replacement battery at 6 months, and the drone in a landfill by month 18. The buyer who thought they were saving money almost always pays more. Potensic operates under Shenzhen Potensic Technology Co. Limited, sells almost exclusively through Amazon FBA, and has no verified U.S. repair network. Their Atom SE is marketed at $429 with phrases like professional drone for adults alongside cinematic footage shot with completely different equipment. Independent testing by Drone Camps, RC, and 51 drones documented GPS drift, inconsistent return to home, and color science well below the DJI Mini 3. Then Remote ID became mandatory in September 2023. No built-in compliance means an external module at $50 to $80. Atom SE at $429 plus the module lands around $489. The DJI Mini 3 with Remote ID built in costs $469. The cheaper option costs more. There's a drone brand on this list that was once backed by $60 million from Intel, stocked nationally at Best Buy, and called DJI's most serious competitor. In less than 6 years, it went from a $1,799 shelf price to zero. That story is coming up, and it's a warning every buyer needs to hear. Hubsan was a genuine innovator. Around 2014, they produced one of the first sub-250-gram HD camera drones on the market, but by 2020 and 21, the Xeno Pro Plus was generating documented problems, random disconnections, flyaways, and gimbal failures, all cataloged on rcgroups.com. Hubsan never issued a formal safety bulletin, and authorized distributors across the US and Europe walked away from the brand. American buyers who crashed discovered the warranty was honored only in China, with international shipping at the owner's expense, often more than the drone's resale value. As of 2024, there are no firmware updates, no US parts, and no customer service. When that battery dies, the drone is finished. The Rise Tello cost $99, which is exactly why it ended up in thousands of American schools. It runs DJI's flight controller technology, meaning the same national security concerns that follow DJI follow the Tello directly. No remote ID, no upgrade path, no legal commercial operation under current FAA rules. What didn't make headlines, many of those purchases used federal E-rate and ESSER grants without anyone realizing they were buying hardware their own IT security policies might prohibit. Several districts quietly shelved entire fleets. The SDK is genuinely excellent, just abandon hardware on a dead platform. Parrot is genuinely French. Paris listed, no Chinese ownership, and that distinction matters. But Parrot exited the consumer market in 2018 to 2019 and now operates exclusively in defense and professional segments. Their ANAFI USA is used by the U.S. Army and DHS, NDAA Section 848, compliant on GSA listings. Any consumer Parrot drone sold today is end-of-life hardware. Free Flight 6 has received no meaningful updates, and iOS 17 and Android 14 compatibility issues remain unresolved. The same company has two completely separate product universes. One the U.S. government trusts for sensitive operations, and one collecting dust in Amazon warehouses. The same French company making drones the U.S. Army uses for classified operations is also selling you a $250 paperweight on Amazon, with an app that hasn't been updated since your last phone. Subscribe so you don't miss the 3 brands that actually get it right. Unique has a California address, Brea, California. But the company is owned by Unique International Company Limited, out of Kunshan, China. In 2016, Intel dropped $60 million into Unique, and for a moment that felt like the legitimate alternative the American market had been waiting for. The Typhoon H at $1,090 was the most credible DJI competitor in the prosumer space. Retractable landing gear, 360-degree camera rotation, Intel RealSense obstacle avoidance. By 2022, Intel had walked away and Best Buy had pulled Unique entirely. The Typhoon H3 launched at $1,799 with Leica branding, but Leica's involvement was a licensing deal, not engineering. Buyers paid the Leica premium and got the badge without the optics. A used Typhoon H Plus goes for $400 to $600 today, with no confirmed propeller or battery restock, and documented cases of drones sent in for repair and never returned. Now that you know what to avoid, here are the 3 brands that actually passed every test I just described. One of them is used by the U.S. Army and SOCOM. One is French and NDAA compliant, and one is the controversial PIC that requires an honest caveat. All 3 are next. Skydio was founded by MIT roboticists Adam Bray, Abe Bachrach, and Matt Donahoe, and is headquartered in San Mateo, California. Verified customers include the U.S. Army, Navy, and SOCOM, with contracts searchable on usaspending.gov. It's NDAA Section 848, compliant and eligible for federal procurement. 6 fisheye cameras and onboard AI deliver 360-degree obstacle avoidance that no Chinese competitor matches at an equivalent price. All processing happens on the device. No mandatory cloud upload, no Chinese server infrastructure. Honest caveat, the Skydio 2 Plus at $999 has a smaller camera sensor than the DJI Mini 3 Pro at $759. Its edge is autonomous tracking and obstacle avoidance, not pure image quality. For government and contractors who need to document compliance, Skydio is the benchmark. The Anafi USA is a completely different product from Parrot's consumer line. Treating them as the same is a costly mistake. NDAA, Section 848 compliant, verifiable on GSA Advantage. Final assembly and testing in San Jose, California. Used by the Department of Homeland Security, the Army, and first responders. 32 times optical zoom, thermal imaging, end-to-end encrypted transmission. French ownership means zero exposure to China's 2017 National Intelligence Law, which requires cooperation with state intelligence on demand. No equivalent obligation exists in France. Honest caveat, it starts north of $7,000. For contractors and agencies needing NDAA compliance and European data jurisdiction, it is the industry standard. This pick needs context. Earlier I said Autel has a Chinese parent company and fails the ASDA compliance test. Both still true. Here's why it makes the list anyway. For civilian users not subject to NDAA procurement rules, recreational pilots, prosumers, independent commercial operators, Autel offers genuine value. The EVO Nano Plus at $649 tracks closely with DJI Mini 3 specs sold at Adorama, B&H, and Best Buy. Autel runs a real customer service operation in Bothell, Washington. The line is clear. If you work for the government or need NDAA compliance documentation, Autel does not pass the test. For everyone else, it's a legitimate, well-supported DJI alternative. EVO Nano Plus $649, EVO Lite Plus $849, EVO 2 Pro $1,149. The American Security Drone Act was signed as part of the FY 2023 NDAA. Almost entirely ignored by mainstream tech media. It prohibits federal agencies from purchasing or operating drones manufactured by entities from 5 covered countries: China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, and Venezuela, including critical components like flight controllers, cameras, and data links. The historical parallel is Section 889 of the FY 2019 NDAA, which banned Huawei from federal networks. The drone industry is following that same legislative trajectory, roughly 4 years behind telecom. The irony, the FAA's mandatory remote ID now requires every drone to broadcast its location. The same government worried about DJI sending data to China now requires all drones to transmit data any receiver can monitor. Buying wrong has a real 3-year cost. A Holy Stone HS720E at $180 plus a $60 battery with zero resale, $240 gone. A Hubsan Zeno Pro Plus at $220, no parts, no resale, $220 gone. A unique Typhoon H runs $580 and counting once you add parts and repair delays. A DJI Mini 3 Pro at $759 retains roughly $400 in resale after 3 years. Net cost around $359. DJI drones hold 40 to 60% of their value after 2 years. Budget brands hold 5 to 15. One lost federal contract worth $50,000 makes that $240 in savings the most expensive decision of your career. If this saved you from a bad purchase, hit subscribe. The next video goes deeper.